Love Island Games Season 2 is over, which is about the best thing I could say for the season, is that it's finally over and I don't have to hate watch it any longer. I barely watched the finale as it is going to keep it a buck. I feel like the show limped to an ending and I was not even slightly invested in the outcome. And I must say, it seems like the viewership felt the same way as for the final week of the show. The show could not even crack number one on Peacock's top 10, which I think is a testament to how big of a flop this season was. The producers decided to overly produce, to rig a bunch of competitions, to make the end game very boring, where a big alliance could gang up on the people not in the alliance at the very end of the game. And in the end, we had a show that already struggled to carry over the popularity from regular Love Island USA, and then limp to an ending the final week of the season. Yes, this video is probably mostly going to be about how the show was a failure, because it was. Look, you have the most popular reality show over the past 2 years, Love Island USA. They decide to try this spin-off once again, thinking it's going to be as popular as the main show, or at least have a lot of that popularity. I don't know if it was the casting. I don't know if it was because season 7 itself was poorly produced and didn't have a great ending for the people. The people were upset over what that season became. It didn't really feel like Love Island anymore. And then this show comes on and it's pretty much just slop. It's nothing impressive whatsoever. Didn't even feel like they planned out the challenges very well some weeks. I mean, when you're throwing a big ball and not wearing a helmet, not a lot of thinking could truly be going into those competitions. Watching Love Island try and become, or at least try and have a spin-off that's a competition show was a joke. As someone that's watched every season of Survivor, almost every season of Big Brother, almost every season of Big Brother Canada, almost every season of The Challenge, comparing Love Island Games to that, it's a joke in comparison. And I feel like what happened is Peacock just wanted to try this out and have this show, Games, have a season 2, in just hopes that it could spawn the popularity from the main show onto this show. And so the producers just got lazy, kind of like they did during season 7, and decided, well, we're already popular. Let's just throw this shit together and pick our favorites, and we'll decide who gets to the end. Because that is what happened. If you go back a week or a week and a half ago, I called whose production's favorites were. I mean, it was clearly Tyreek, Lucinda, and Toby to an extent. And I really just think it was Tyreek and Lucinda. And Toby just gets to get along because they wanted to keep Ty in the game as long as they could. It was pretty clear. It's funny. I'm seeing fans on Reddit mostly talking about how, reality shows can't cheat. The FCC this, the FCC that. You can't cheat in a reality game when you're giving away money. You can tell these people have never seen a competition show in their life. I mean, Big Brother has done this countless times where there's clearly rigging going on. A Survivor season had one person finding an immunity idol every single week. Somehow he would find the immunity idol. Nobody else on the tribe, nobody else in the game, always him. Rigging happens in competition shows all the time. And the evidence mounted this season that there was rigging going on. It started with the yellow balloon. And it really started with the America's vote for me. I mean, the fact that Solène and Mert got voted out, I assume it was on the up and up because Americans just wanted to vote for Americans and not the foreigners. Perhaps I could see America doing that. But on Reddit and Twitter specifically, and even on Instagram a little bit, there was plenty of people. But I saw votes for Solène, so I'm just still questioning how they were at the bottom, but apparently they were. And then you had the yellow balloon challenge where clearly one team's balloon filler was not working. That was yellow getting screwed because why? They wanted to keep Tyreek safe. And it showed in the finale why they wanted to keep Tyreek safe. He was not going to win a duel. So I don't know why they decided these UK players were their favorites this season, but that's what production decided. I saw speculation that there was probably even iffiness with the whole Garby and Casey taking a bet on the roulette thing because of a metal ball. In Vegas, they don't use a metal ball because that is how cheating is done, because there's magnets. And because of the evidence mounting in other parts of this season, that there was probably some rigging going on, specifically with the balloon challenge. I mean, that was clear as day. It was rigging. Anybody that's seen any competition show, you'll never see rigging that blatantly on a show, which is how it's crazy that there are people on Reddit pretending like there was not rigging going on this season. It happens in competition reality too much. But it's part of the reason why competition reality has struggled over the past decade. You shouldn't be doing this. You just have to let people play and let them provide good television. It's very much possible. It used to happen in the 2000s all the time. I don't know why the shows decided to start overproducing, but they did. And so in the end, we get this Isaiah and Lucinda win that, I mean, it's whatever. It's funny that the show giving away their biggest prize ever because they thought it was going to be popular, and then the winners are one of the most boring male cast members of the season in Isaiah. And I say this as a fellow Pisces who usually roots for Pisces on shows like this all the time. If you go back and watch videos on this channel, I don't hate Isaiah winning, but I don't love it, and I do find him to be boring. And then Lucinda, who was massively annoying for the entire second half of the series, but was also clearly a production favorite. And I called it a week and a half ago. This is nothing. I'm not saying this now just because she won. I've been calling this for the past week and a half, that Tyreek and Lucinda were clearly being favored by production. And I think the end game showed it too, because they made it to the end game and Tyreek bombed the end game and he was never going to win a duel. So I guess to sum it up, I feel like this season was just awful. I don't know why it became overly produced. I think it is a major failure for Peacock. You have your most popular show on your platform. You do a spinoff, and by the end, it can't even be number one on your own platform. Regular Love Island is beating shows on Netflix, and Love Island games can't even be number one on your own platform. Not a good look. So, I mean, that alone, I would consider the season a failure. Like, it was clearly a failure producer-wise because they decided not to have an outline of the way the game works. Like, there was no real setup. Every single elimination was different, and that's just never going to catch on to a competition show audience like me, who has, it's what most of my channel is about. 80% of my channel is about competition reality. So the show doesn't have an identity as it is. Is it going to be like Regular Love Island where you have couples and it matters? Well, it didn't matter this season. The most popular couple, I called that all season 2, that Andrea was not into Josh. And after the show, that's very clear that that's not happening on Andrea's side. So it's not a couple show. It's not a competition show. It's not going to appeal to an audience like me, who's a big competition show fan, because it doesn't have an actual format. And without an actual format, we can't stay invested. So I don't know who this show is trying to appeal to, which is why I said it was just thrown together by this lazy production team on this show, because, well, Regular Love Island's already popular, so I'm sure this will be too. But in the end, it flopped. It's a major flop for Peacock. I would sit here and say over the past 2 years, CBS really needs to get their shit together, because Peacock is doing their thing with competition reality and just reality shows in general. But I don't think I could say that anymore. I think it's already falling into the trap that reality shows always fall into, and that's overproducing. Rigging shit for no reason. You don't have to do it. Just let them play the game. Let them be themselves. That's what makes reality television great. We saw that with a bad twist on The Traitor season 3 too, and now this show following suit. And it's not a good look, because at least CBS had a decade of good Survivor and Big Brother seasons before they started to overproduce and do terrible twists and production clearly doing rigging. Now we're just a few years into Peacock, and their reality shows are already doing this. It's pretty dumb. It's a dumb thing to do. Look what it did for CBS reality television. It's just wasted away for the past decade plus. So we'll see what happens going forward. I will say all this show made me do is make me want to check out Zeus Network for the first time and watch the Love Island ripoff Love Cabin, which is starting this weekend. And I probably will check it out. Hopefully there's not a lot of physical fighting because that's not my thing. And if there is, I won't stay watching. But I would love for the ripoff of Love Island to actually be entertaining and good. If it's overproduced, though, too, it's not going to be good. We'll see how that goes. I do think people should check out Love Cabin. I said for years that there should be a black Big Brother show. But it doesn't necessarily just have to be a black show. I think Love Cabin will be because it's on Zeus Network. But these shows deserve people to try and make shows similar to them. If their production is going to suck, if their editing is going to suck, it's prime and ready for some other network to try and rip it off. And that's what's happening here with Love Cabin. I don't know how they'll do. I don't know exactly how it's going to come across on their episodes. But I'm going to check it out and see how it compares, especially to Season 7 of Love Island. It's not that hard to have better production and better editing than Season 7 of Love Island. So we'll see how that goes. Thankfully, though, Love Island Games is over. Shitty season. Terrible production. Clear rigging. And overall, a flop for Peacock when you compare it to the main show doing so well, being so popular. This show starts with a struggle. Already not nearly as popular as the main show. And by the end, it's limping to the end and can't even be number one on its own platform. Rough.